Welcome to the Podcast Without Fear, a podcast all about Netflix's hit show Daredevil. I am, of course, your host, Zachary here. With me, as always, is Jesse Jackson. No, not that one.
Hello, Zach. Boy, we have a couple of great episodes to talk about. We might break it into two different episodes as we usually do, but man, and we are so close. Seeing
one more.
The finish
and
line.
The last episode is called Daredevil, so that should be really interesting.
Yes, it is. I think we had some foreshadowing this in one of the episodes we're going to talk about how he may get his uniform.
Yes, and I'll get to it, but it turns I didn't even because. Apparently, that guy is a Daredevil character.
Yes. The Gladiator? No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that when we get to this scene. So first, we have, of course, Vanessa being in the hospital, and I really like seeing where Wilson is like, "Do you know who I am?" And the nurse is like, "I don't care." I was almost expecting, well, we're going to see her dead by the end of the episode.
Yeah, that was great. I love how. The kid with snot rolling down their nose is watching cartoons, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose.
I always wonder if there's any relevance in the cartoon they picked.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought the same thing, and boy, you talk about, everyone moving hell and earth to figure out what's happening, right? Yeah, so great stuff. And Leland is such a jackass.
Okay, I think we can have a special drinking game just for this episode. Every time you want to punch Leland in the face, you take a shot because it's oh my god, it wasn't even because we don't even have to worry about sport because it wasn't even a reveal. Like when he says, "Oh, we did it," oh, there's a shocker.
Yeah, and I want to give full credit to you. Because you called that right away. And I talked about him saying, well, there's someone who can't hold their liquor. And you said, that's what makes me suspicious, Jesse. And so good job, partner. You called it exactly that he was behind this.
Now, quick, before we continue, there's something we should mention. They've announced who's going to play Punisher in the next – Punisher's showing up in Season 2.
Yeah.
Have you heard?
Yes, I did. It's a great casting. He's
mostly known for The Walking Dead. John, I'm going to murder his last name, Bernthal. Now, it's funny. It's one of those casting choices. I never would have picked him, but I can see it. I can see him doing it.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think he's going to do a great job.
And, of course, he's getting his I'm guessing they'd use him because, Punisher's getting his own show on Netflix, and I've already called dibs on doing the podcast because no one else is doing the Punisher podcast but me.
Yeah.
Because I love the freaking Punisher. I've never seen a bad Punisher.
And
even the Dolph Lundgren one I thought was
alright. And then the other thing, Stephen DeKnight has exited as showrunner for Season 2. Doug Petrie and Marco Ramirez are going to be the showrunners. Doug Petrie has a very decent, pedigree. I don't know Marco Ramirez, but I'm a little worried because I really think that,
I'm always worried when a showrunner. The two best examples, I think, Sleepy Hollow and Revenge were two shows that started off fantastic, but once the showrunner left, it never bounced back.
Yeah, and I'm a little worried, especially when, Stephen DeKnight had done such a great job, right?
But then we got to remember this is a Netflix show, so it's not the same as a network thing. Or this is a completely different flow and attitude. So changing showrunners could, like, each season could be its own monster, and that could work in a Netflix show.
And Drew Goddard is the one who created the show, and he stepped away. So I guess this is just, and I think I hadn't thought about that, but that makes a lot of sense, right? That they want a fresh perspective.
Yeah. And another thing, again, unlike a network show, they film this I'm guessing, pretty close together. It's not like a network show where, we don't know how many episodes, so let's do this episode like that. They can do the whole they know the whole narrative already.
Yeah.
So that probably helps.
I think it does. And, Doug Petrie has a background from Buffy, which so did Steven, and so did Goddard. So that's good news. And so we'll see what happens. And I'll be looking up Marco Ramirez as we continue to talk, and I'll bring that up later.
So back to this episode, which is called The Path of the Righteous. Karen goes to visit Matt, and she is not buying a single freaking thing he's saying. And I didn't notice this the first time, but she's like, "What's the car? I hope the car was German and expensive, Japanese." And when I first heard that, I realized he was hit by something big red and Japanese.
Yeah, I thought that was a really, him kind of having fun with himself. Sometimes, you make a joke that only you kind of for yourself. And so that's kind of funny, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, and then we'll move on. I just did check. Marco Ramirez wrote Condemned and Rabbit in a Snowstorm in Daredevil. He's been involved in Sons of Anarchy, Orange is the New Black, and Da Vinci's Demon. So
I haven't seen Da Vinci's Demon.
I haven't either, but so he's got some street cred, and especially, so both of them have written episodes, so they're familiar with the show. So I think that's going to be very good. And he was executive story editor for 3 episodes of Orange is the New Black. So it sounds like Netflix is very comfortable with him. So that's
it. Sounds like he might be able to do a good job.
Yeah. So anyway, that's yes, for those of you who now have whiplash because we've gone all over the road, we're going to stay focused on the episode now. She is really upset. She's worried. She says, "You look like shit," and "I look better than I feel," is his answer. And she's judging him about having a beer, and he goes, "Depends on the day you're having." So, she's not buying this car wreck thing at all, but she just thinks he's gotten beat up because of all this stuff they've been doing for Fisk. Which
is not completely wrong.
That's what I was going to say, which is technically, there's a lot of truth in there, right?
Yeah, she's telling him about the information, and it's true, though. It's like that Fisk's mother, of course, told her and Urich that what happened was the father, but it's a woman with senility. That is not going to hold up anywhere.
No, it's not.
It might shake things up, but you need way more than that.
Yeah, and I think Karen is a little bit naive here because, the old thing, the only thing that could stop a politician is being found in a bed with a dead girl or a live boy. It just doesn't. I think she's being incredibly naive to think that this story from an older woman that he killed his father is going to make a difference.
In fact, it would probably bring more people. I think it was either Urich or Matt said it. It would probably bring more people to his side.
Yes.
I mean, if I heard because I've actually come from obviously I didn't kill him, but yeah. I mean, for someone who's been abused, I know if I heard a politician, I'd raise, I'm like, oh, good, I'd vote for him,
Absolutely.
That, of course, I'd be, if he was like high school or college and he covered up his dad's murder, maybe, but if he was like, what was he, 12 or 10 or something?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be like, oh my God. And if we notice when she's telling him to take his own advice, there was a moment there right before she gives him the balloon.
Yes.
The hint of the feeling she has for both him and Foggy. Now, speaking of Foggy, they did something here that I really like. I mean, this is what I love when shows don't do cliches. They could so easily have made Foggy the silly friend pining after Karen, like, oh, Foggy, I like you as a friend. No, they show Foggy getting some, and I like that.
Yeah, I in fact love the idea that when he goes to talk, um, with oh, what's her name? I wrote it down.
I had it somewhere, but I can't
Yeah,
find it. Meat grinder and a pencil skirt. Let's just
yeah,
go.
yeah. Marcy, and
That's it.
she talks about how, well, you were good the other night, and it really seems to, he is, and I mentioned this to a couple of friends. I said, Zach, my podcast partner on the show, I think brought up a really good point. You said at the very beginning of this that a big part, the key to a successful Daredevil show is getting Foggy right. He's got to be smart. He's got to be charming. You have to understand why Matt wants to be his friend, but not just the lovable, um, good old boy that's next to him. So they've done a great job of showing that Foggy is very smart. He's very capable. He is a lot more laid back, and he's incredibly loyal to Matt. And so I just think, great job. And they continue to show that, where, he doesn't betray Matt to Karen, and he's really trying to work through this himself.
But I think him just having, because I really hate in shows where, and I think the two shows I've seen this really much was the BBC revamp of Robin Hood from a few years back, and Arrow. Yes, the main character is the hero, and he's the dashing guy, but he doesn't have to sleep with every female character that pops into the show, Like it's not like no one else can have a relationship but the main character. And it shows that that's one thing. This show is an ensemble show, and it does it well.
Yes, it does. It does it very good. Now, I'm a little worried about the ensemble part because, spoilers, we're losing a lot of our cast. Right?
Yes. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to. So
yes,
we'll dive right into that. So we go back to the hospital, and again, here's another hint that Leland was the one doing it. He's like, "Hey, maybe it was the man of the mask who did it. Hey, look in that direction. Don't look at me. Look in that direction."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really, really cool. Yeah.
And we find I'm trying to figure like him and Wesley to get Leland and Wesley together. You're not even sure what's going on. Like they tell him go talk to Madame Gao, and then we find out that's an interesting conversation that he's trying to push Les to take care of it, and then we jump over again. The show jumps around more than we do. We have Claire and Matt. She's patching them up some more. And they actually address the fact that there could have been something between them, but he's blinded by his mission.
Yeah, he is, and I thought it was really good to see Claire again, because in her discussion with Matt, really well done. She talks about, you're here. You say you're here for the city, but I think the city created you. The discussion about they acknowledged that there was attraction between them, and he kind of went away with it, ignored it because of his focus, and she doesn't want to be involved in that. And then, the great line about the only thing I remember from Sunday school, right, is the martyrs that end up bloody and alone. And I hope we see more of Claire in the second season. I think Rosanna Dawson was amazing on this, and with little bit scene she had to do, just a great, great supporting character.
Yeah, I think if she does come back in season 2, she's gonna, because I mean, they gotta be making her night nurse. It's too much like the character for her not to be her.
Yeah, I
I
totally
mean,
agree. I think that's what she is.
and it's funny because in the comics there was like I think there was at least three night nurses. There was the original Janet Foster. I could be getting the name wrong, but something like that. And then they added a couple more since the 70s. And a couple of them did hook. I think one hooked up with Doctor Strange and a couple of other heroes. So it should be interesting to see.
Absolutely. We also, in this discussion, Matt talks about body armor for the first time.
Yes.
And I think that was a really nice callback to, we had seen Leland and Wesley and Fisk all at Taylor's, at a tailor getting suited, getting measured for a suit and done everything. So, and then of course in the fight we saw that,
Yeah, I didn't even register for me when he sliced him that I thought he missed. I'm like, oh yeah. And then when he said, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why
yeah.
it didn't cut him.
So I think that's a really cool, kind of story point, and that, this isn't as painful, because I think they've done this right. I know, like, one of the things that, fans got frustrated with Smallville, even though, no capes, no tights, is after a while you're like, hey, we want to see Superman.
And you didn't see it till the last second
yes,
of the show.
exactly. And so, but I don't think this has taken too long. I think that they've set this up, and, as we talked about the final episode, that the rest of our listeners have said, yes, we've already seen it,
I know.
but we haven't. And so we are going to assume that that's going to be, the last episode is when he's going to come in the traditional, Daredevil outfit.
Yes, and well, it's the thing about small. I remember really College Humor, or it was either College Humor or Dorkly made fun of it really good. It's like, what if the last season of Gotham is like the last season of Smallville? It shows Gordon, someone handing Gordon a little package, and it's glasses and a mustache. He puts them on and flies away.
Okay, that's pretty funny. Yes,
it was really. Oh, every so often they have great takes on geek culture. So okay, so from there, we have Yurik and Karen talking about like what's necessary, what's needed, and I think Yurik is like insulted, like because it's like she feels like she used his wife to get to the story.
Yeah, it is, and that's, Yurik has been really conflicted this season, and it's been very, very interesting watching him, kind of almost being a mentor to Karen. And it's been, I really, was looking forward to seeing how that worked, but spoilers, that's changed, hasn't it?
Yes, and we will talk about that specifically when we get to it, because
Yes.
that is.
Yeah.
Oh, and something I know, I forget which scene, but I can mention it now. I mentioned Van Lund. I told you that's Taurus from I forget if the Zodiac crime syndicate. Their office, I don't know why I didn't notice this, but I guess it's just how the brain works. The Nelson and Murdoch offices are in something that used to be a Van Lunt office.
Oh, okay.
If you look at the old lettering on the door, it was either on, yeah, I think it was the one on the door. And I don't know so I'm guessing he's probably not gonna make an appearance till season 2. Although it makes me curious if they're gonna do, because in the comics, just type in Van Lunt Marvel Jesse, and you'll see a costume that I know they had Nobu's hand, but I'll be really surprised.
Okay.
If Taurus in full bull getup makes an appearance.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. That's cool.
Now, and trying to they mention of the attempt on Fisk's life, so we have the scene at the hospital, and then like Wesley sees that like Fisk is just, this is just, but he's trying to handle things,
Yes.
and and he's telling him to look into it, and this is, I love the dynamic between them.
Yeah, I do too. I really like the loyalty, and as Fisk talks about, he's my friend, and he really is appreciating, and Wesley is truly trying to take care of things for him, because you know we joked about a lot in the real world that in a lot of ways everyone's job is to make your boss's life easier. No matter how you spin it, when it comes down to the simple, issue, are you making your boss's life easier? And so he's trying to do that, right? He believes in Fisk, or his employer, as he calls it. He knows that he supports him. He cares about him. They have that great discussion about he doesn't like the city, but he believes that Wilson does, and he wants to help him.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, it's just fascinating to see them together.
Yes, and we had talked about, it's one of my favorite characters, and which made things that happened really, really sad.
So then we get a scene with, and the scene with Matt and the priest. I mean, they shot it interesting like that. I mean, I don't know why, but something about the way they shot Matt just stood out to me.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I thought the priest going, yeah, I've already had too much coffee, and kind of talking about him. Another good scene. I think the father and
oh, and we find out like we both touched upon this, like whether I like how he puts it. Like, I know it's you, but I don't know how, but I know it's you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not stupid.
Right. And I think that is really nice. I love that they aren't making him, stupid, as we're talking about. So it's a really nice thing.
I like how he once again asks him, like, are you here because you said you succeeded, or because you didn't? Yeah, I mean, you almost succeed, or because like he's trying to, he keeps he keeps asking. I mean, I always like when they do a priest like this. Like, this is in real life. These are the priests I gravitate to, the ones who are realistic and who use religion but live in the real world.
Yes, and that understands, that things are gray at times, and are trying to do all the right things, correct? So that's good.
I just love the way he says it. Yes, Matthew. If you look at it, first he tries to kind of protect him. He's like, "Oh, active." I mean, like, no, Matt. He's like, "No, Father. You know what I mean."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yes, Matt. I'm not an idiot."
Yeah, that was really good.
And again, they're using which was Adelaide, they call Daredevil Catholic thing, and they're doing it really good here. And he says it. Why did he put the devil in me?
Yeah, and then an interesting discussion about what perhaps God's purpose of having the devil at all, and really good scene, good discussion. So I like that a lot.
Well, it makes me think of this Ghost right now. It was sadly when the writing wasn't fantastic, but the idea was good. It's about a guy trying to get rid of sin in the world, and the good guys found out that the future without sin is like people are just nothing. Like there without sin, there is no meaning. There's no pain. There's no meaning to life. You can't have one without the other. Upset the balance, which has been addressed in many different stories, many different times.
Absolutely, Zach.
And it's actually something. Actually, the best version. One is actually as stupid as the movie was. It actually had a better storyline than it was a better Ghost Rider movie than Ghost Rider was. Did you see Drive Angry with Nick Cage?
Yes.
That had the best story. In that story, the devil wasn't evil.
Right.
He was just a warden of a prison. It's like is it the idea? And he's like the priest says, the idea of the devil. It's like him allowing him to fall from grace. Did he plan? Like, what's the truth? Did he plan for him the whole time to be what drives people to be good?
Yes, absolutely.
And I mean, everyone who's a Daredevil, who's even read one comic, is going, oh,
yeah, absolutely.
And we get it. So so right when I heard that, I'm like, oh, we're getting the costume.
Absolutely.
And well, I mean, I'm loving them because you got to think. I mean, in the original, if we're being completely pragmatic, in the original comics, there's absolutely no reason for him to be called. I mean, to actually put. I mean, to call himself Daredevil, fine, but to actually have a devil outfit, there was no reason in the original comic.
Yeah, so I think this is good. They get a reason. I think Miller added that they used to call him Daredevil because he was so cautious because his father wanted him to be focused on school and everything. So yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah, I always hate like really weak reasons for putting like certain names. No, it makes me think of, as much as I love the show. There was an episode of in Flash. Of course, do you watch Flash?
Sure.
Okay, so you know how Cisco names all the guys?
Yes.
Captain Cold's sister in the comics is Golden Glider. Now she's called that in the comics because she used like jeweled weapons, and she was an ice skater.
Right.
But there was no mention of her being a skater. Like she's like, why did you name me Cisco? It's like, okay, Golden Glider. I'm like, there is absolutely no reason for her to be called Golden Glider.
Yes, absolutely.
Or the Firestorm. Anna, no, not anagram. I'm blanking on the word, but it's like they spelled it out. But it was like that was forced. But this one, it works.
Mm-hmm.
So Daredevil decides to get a little information. We see our old friend, I forget his name, but the one who can't sell a good gun.
Yes.
He gets some information out of him of where to go next, and we jump from there. Oh, but I love, like, I don't know nothing, man. Crack! Oh, I know something. I almost want Daredevil to go, do we always have to go to the pain?
Yeah, exactly.
And we go back to the hospital, and Fisk is telling Leslie when Vanessa wakes up, going to move her. Now, I knew right when he said that this woman is not going to move.
Yeah, I knew that too. She understands the risks, but of course he's in love with her and wants to protect her. But yeah, we knew that was going to happen.
And then Leland, oh god, he's so I know hindsight's 2020, but still, he's so full of it.
Yes, he is, and Gal, will stand beside them, and I think the translator didn't like me, and all this. He's such a weasel. And then,
his mother calls.
His mother calls, and Wesley calls her back, and he's so charming and so nice.
Yeah.
And as they say, the plot thickens.
Yeah, I like how it's like they even say it's weird that she remembered that. It is true. I mean, it's like, come on, she just happens to remember it.
Yeah.
Also, well, she did visit her more than once, so say so. We see Daredevil visit where Fisk got a suit made, and I need to look up this guy's exact name.
It's Melvin Potts, I believe.
Yes, and he's it's interesting because in the comics he was like a he was a villain for about 2 seconds, but then he liked being a hero more.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm trying to find
Melvin Potter. Yes.
I'm trying to find in the comics. I don't think I couldn't tell if he was special needs or just because it seemed to just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, very simple. and so and if you look up, like on Wikipedia, it talks about his background, and he later becomes, he reforms and actually becomes an advocate of Matt.
And
So
he's pretty old Daredevil character. He was created by Stan Lee and John Romita Sr.
yes, yeah. So that's
And if you look at the picture, the guy looks like him. And I know this guy too because I've seen him in a couple other movies. He's a character actor.
yes, real.
He actually fights Daredevil pretty good
Yeah, it
too.
was, and then kind of it and then he's so sad because he's worried about it, and Matt kind of manipulates him. I'm not saying Matt's a total jerk, but he's and I believe Matt means it, where I'm going to help you. If you help me, I will help to protect your family. Who's the his sister? I think, right?
Did he say sister?
He just said the lady's name. I don't remember the name. Do you?
Betsy. It was like, was it Betsy?
Yeah, maybe so. I'm.
Yeah, Betsy, because
Okay.
that's from the comics too.
Okay, good.
Well, yeah. It was in the comics. Betsy was his therapist that he eventually became romantic with.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd like a more explanation of like because it seemed a little all over the place. What if he's the same? I mean, I know it doesn't really matter. I'm just curious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I can see what you mean by manipulate, but I think it kind of works. He is. It's not like he's not going to help him.
Absolutely.
So we'll see where they go with that. So from there, obviously this guy's gonna make, and it was gonna make the suit for Daredevil.
Yes.
He's gonna be the one, and from what he said with that's where he gets the idea for it to be the devil.
Yeah, I think so.
So if we get a little scene with Karen and Foggy, she's just she's pushy, so she's like, "What is going on with you two?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they won't. Neither one of them will talk. It's really, it's very tense between them. Our three, our Scooby Gang are not getting along at all.
And we see that Ben is the reporter of him can't let things go. That he figured out who Fisk's father was. He learns more about him, and through that we find out later he finds out about the guy he owed money to. And we get this. Oh, and then back to the hospital, we get this really interesting thing with Fisk, where he's talking about he's pretended to pray, but if there's anyone listening, he hopes they help Vanessa, that kind of thing. But he doesn't know what to say when he prays. Like he can't pray for her. But he can promise her.
He makes a promise to her. Absolutely.
And it was a great scene. And then we get this scene with Karen and Leslie. With Leslie.
Yeah, Wesley and Karen. Yeah. And he's so, matter of fact. He says, "I'm not going to kill you. I want to, hire you. You've been very persuasive, and I need you to use your powers of persuasion to get, Uric to back off." And everyone, and even said that we didn't think you were going to be a problem, and now then you have been. And he pulls out his gun, and she's like, "Oh, are you going to threaten me?" And he says, "Oh, we're not going to kill you right away. We're going to kill everyone else, and when you have no tears left, then we will kill you." And he talks about threatening everyone.
Yes, but then Karen sort of surprises him.
Yeah, it was really, and I think it was really well done that Wesley is so worried about his boss that he didn't bring backup. You know?
Yeah, well, he underestimated Karen.
Absolutely. And so when his phone rings, she is ready to jump, and all of a sudden the tables are turned.
And we get a little hint, something. I mean, it's probably the reason why she goes after Kingpin so hard. Her demon she faced. I mean, she's got a past, and I mean, they'll probably wait till season 2 to dive into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was a great line. He says, "Do you really think I'd, have a gun that's loaded?" And she says, "And you really think that I never shot anyone before?"
And I love how, and I've always hated the scenes when they're like I'd give you a load gun. Always, and you can tell, anyone who's ever held a gun, especially, here's the thing about a 6-shooter. You can tell
the weight
from the back,
different.
Not even just the weight, you can see the bullets in the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
But she just empties it into him.
Yeah, and he looks so shocked with the first bullet, and she just keeps pulling the trigger till it's empty. And rest in peace, Wesley. You're gone. He's dead. He's dead.
And I don't know why I said it was a 6-shooter. It's a 9mm. I have no idea why I said 6-shooter.
Well, I thought,
but
your point was just in the other times they've said that. Yeah, and he's just, once again, to repeat myself, one of my favorite characters is gone.
Well, we both liked him.
Yeah. And there he is, and you're just like,
it's very Game of Thrones when you think about it, because that's the best thing about Thrones is this is realistic, because it's like everyone says, oh, he's calm when he's got a gun pointed, but the thing is, unless you're really fast or really lucky, it doesn't matter how good you are, how calm you are. If someone shoots you, you're dead.
Yeah, and I think he did underestimate her. He also thought that, he was confident that she wouldn't pull the trigger, and I think we're sitting here going, this show won't get rid of such a major character,
right?
But they did.
Oh, they did.
They did. They did. He did.
He did. He did. He did.
Yeah.
He did.
So, just a super episode, and luckily this, the way it timed it, we were able to watch another episode. So how would you rate this one?
Well, if I borrow your rating system, how about 10 monkey balloons?
Okay. I gave it 9.5 not so empty guns.
Oh God! I really thought you were going to use the monkey balloon, but yes, I only used number rank just so I could say that. But yes, it was a good episode, and it really surprised me, and it showed hints to what his costume's going to look like, and I'm completely with how it happens.
Yes.
It's not like just pulling it out of his butt.
Yeah. So
again, I'm very pleased with the episode.
Absolutely. Great. So, okay. So, Zach, where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Zachary here, or of course, Interim Sanity on Twitter.
And I am at JWJ170104 on Twitter. Please let us know what you're thinking, and let us know how we're going, what you've enjoyed on the show, and let us know how you're liking the podcast. But for now, remember, we Murdochs get hit a lot, but we always get up.